It's Thursday, April 1st, and the time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Government has not tried to slip anything past Barbadians in its enforcement of the most recent COVID-19 directives. That's according to Attorney General Dale Marshall, who gave the assurance that government had no intention of using the legislation to take advantage of residents. He made the point just days after opposition leader Bishop Joseph Atherley expressed concern about the Emergency Management COVID-19 Orders and Curfew Directive Number 7, in which a section gives government the power to take temporary control of land or buildings in its fight against COVID-19.
Let me remind Barbadians that this is a state of emergency. And while it may not be the kind of emergency that you might think of when you think of a hurricane or war or anything of that sort, the state has to have reserve powers in a situation which might arise, which would call on it to do extraordinary things.
Marshall said this would only be done if necessary, similarly to how government took control of a senior citizen's home earlier this year following an outbreak of COVID-19 at the facility.
The government of Barbados is constrained by its constitution. We cannot and will not take anyone's property without compensation. You will notice that the order does not say that we will acquire it. It says requisition, which suggests and which conveys the impression that for as long a period of time as needed, the government may be required to take extraordinary steps and access facilities and assets that it does not have in its control. We've been very fortunate that we've not had to go to that extreme, but it is important that we have these reserve powers available, and let me stress that they have been there from the very beginning. Every single COVID order has been gazetted, so this is not something at all that the government of Barbados has surreptitiously tried to slip in to the COVID arrangements regime. It's been there from the very outset.
Meantime, Prime Minister Mia Mottley explained that the powers were an insurance clause. She said Barbados had to be prepared for any eventuality and maintained that government had been honest with Barbadians about its policies.
It is really an insurance clause, that's all. And the country has to be ready for any eventuality. But I think that, as the AG said, everything that we have done has been fully transparent, and therefore the public does not need to worry about not knowing. But equally, if something happens in the middle of the night, as has happened, if something happens on a weekend, as has happened, to requisition simply means to use and not to take over ownership, as the AG said.
At the same time, the opposition leader's threat of pending legal action over the clause of requisition of private land and buildings in the latest COVID-19 emergency management order has failed to gain support from the business community. When asked to comment on the developments, President of the Barbados Private Sector Association, Edward Clark, acknowledged that if triggered, the section would most likely affect players in the business community. But he said that the measure was in no way unusual for orders of that nature.
Under any powers of emergency, the government can basically have control on most things within rights, but if they think that it is a necessity for procurement of say a hospital, a warehouse, or something like that, it is emergency powers does give government a lot of authority. But it is like after a hurricane, after a threat, after something like this, a major pandemic, a global pandemic, and I'm not surprised. I mean, I knew it was there from before, but these are the kind of powers that emergency powers bring for authority gives to a government. So we just have to understand, what it is.
A number of Barbadian industries, from coconut vending to tourism and renewable energy, are in line to get a set of standards. In fact, Acting Director of the Barbados National Standards Institution, Hayden Rind, has revealed that labeling standards for coconut vendors are about halfway ready. He said a full suite of standards is also being developed for the tourism industry, but didn't give a timeline for when any of the standards would be in place. He made the disclosure during the second Barbados Coalition of Services Industries Fishbowl conversation on Wednesday under the theme National Service Sector Development Strategy, providing a framework for inclusive and sustainable development.
The BNSI is developing, we are amending really our labeling of prepackaged food standard. And that's huge, so that there is the opportunity for the label to better indicate what is high in salt, what is high in fat, what is high in sugar, up front on the front of the package and the label, so that consumers have a more informed choice that affects their health, and that really affects not just the service sector, but all of us as Barbadians. There is coconut water in there where we're developing a specification for packaged natural coconut water. That's about halfway. Tourism is a full suite of standards. I know that the service sector development strategy, at least at this time, isn't necessarily focused on tourism as I understand it, but there's a suite of standards that we're working on in the tourism industry. For heritage tourism, accessible tourism for all, with those who are disabled, hotels, the medical tourism, a big area that we haven't quite fully tapped into, so again, the entire suite of services, whether you're a small business and you're into vending, or you are, a medium-sized business, you can engage with the BNSI.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Continuing with developments in the region, another Caribbean country to step up its national vaccination program against COVID-19 after receiving its first batch of vaccines from the COVAX facility. As we hear in this report from Channel 5 News, Belize received its first set of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine yesterday.
The arrival of the vaccine strengthens the country's national response and health system.
Today is a momentous occasion for us, and it is a pleasure and an honor for me to be here as UNICEF. A moment when we demonstrate the power of partnership in making a difference for the most vulnerable and those who are left behind.
The acquisition of the vaccine from the COVAX facility was facilitated through the PAHO Revolving Fund.
It is recognized as the procurement agent for the COVAX facility in Latin America and the Caribbean. It negotiates, purchases, and handles the shipment logistics on behalf of the 36 countries participating in COVAX in the region of the Americas. As of today, and I think with this shipment here to Belize, it's 2.5 million doses of the COVID vaccines have been delivered through the COVAX facility, through the PAHO, from the COVAX facility, from the PAHO Revolving Fund.
Phase 1 and 2 of the COVID vaccination program remains open as a wide range of persons from various sectors, including vulnerable populations such as the elderly and frontline healthcare workers, continue to get vaccinated.
We got in 33,600 doses of the COVAX facility. This will help us to vaccinate with the first dose additional persons, and we'll also have a second dose for those persons who've already been vaccinated.
And finally, lockdown measures have been extended from 19 areas, including Paris, to all of mainland France for 4 weeks beginning April 3rd, as the country fights another wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. More from Reuters TV.
France went into its third national lockdown on Wednesday as President Emmanuel Macron tries to push back a new wave of COVID-19 infections.
Yes, the virus must be slowed down. We will also close down daycares, elementary, middle, and high schools for 3 weeks.
The lockdown comes as the country's death toll nears 100,000. Daily infections have doubled since February to nearly 40,000, and intensive care units are at a breaking point. It's all a setback for France, the Eurozone's second largest economy, and dampens hope for a swift economic recovery, in part due to a sluggish vaccination rollout. The country's program has been slowed by supply shortages, with just 12% of the population inoculated. But Macron on Wednesday also tried to offer hope.
If we organize ourselves in the next few months, then we will see the end of the tunnel and we will find our way back.
Macron said the April lockdown and a swifter vaccination rollout would allow some businesses like museums and outdoor dining to slowly reopen by mid-May.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.